I'm Lou.
And I'm Larry. We may be socially distancing, but we're still socially geeky. We have discovered a magical way to continue to bring you the geekiest podcast without ever touching each other. I mean, seeing each other. So stay tuned this week for the return of Loop and Larry, Guardians of Geek. Hey, quit touching me.
As much as Loop and I love to hug it out before every podcast, we're now committed to sending each other hug emojis and the occasional poop emoji just to keep us humble. So in keeping with our self-isolations, we now bring you the Socially Distant Podcast.
In a world filled with intergalactic space battles, metahuman destruction on a global scale, and psychopathic serial hauntings, there's only one team who can make sense of it all. When your world is overrun with rampant pop culture, call Loop and Larry, Guardians of Geek.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo! Hey, you know what? I figured out a way to avoid that explosion. I call in from home. It only took 27 episodes for me to figure that out.
We finally figured, thanks to COVID, we've been able to do this now.
Exactly. I now feel totally safe from the massive explosion.
There you go. Hey, I'm Luke.
And I'm Larry.
And this is Guardians of Geek. What a weird time.
This is a strange time.
This is our first of our many COVID episodes, I'm assuming. The world has gone into a movie mode. It's just like an apocalypse out there. I don't know what's happening right now. It's so bizarre. I've never seen anything like this.
No, this is the strangest thing. I honestly feel like when I do on occasion have to go out to get a grocery or something, that I should be keeping my eye open for the zombies.
I know. It is, because you're constantly like side-eyeing everybody that's out there. And right now we're in the middle of self-isolation. Of course, we live in Canada, so if you're listening from outside of Canada, and it's we've been doing, I think, a pretty good job at self-isolating here, and keeping things sort of locked down. But we had time. We weren't as close to the epicenter as other places were, so we could watch it sort of coming at us. But there's still a lot going on here, and my heart goes out to anyone who's suffering with COVID or knows anyone that's is in that situation right now.
Yeah, it's really difficult. I mean, it's even if you're not suffering from the actual disease, just to be isolated is hard. You know, not to be able to see people face to face and have conversations and you know, invite people over to your home. It's tough for everybody, and it's tough for everybody in the entire world. I was talking to my son about this whole thing, and we realized that this is probably the first time in like recorded history that the entire planet will be sharing the same event.
Yeah, you're right.
You know what I mean? Like, you can talk to anybody, literally anybody in the entire world about this event and have a conversation.
Yeah, at least in our lifetime. I mean, we didn't go through the wars, obviously, because they wouldn't have been one.
But not even the war. Like, the wars didn't involve the entire world. They, you know, there were countries that weren't involved.
That's true. Yeah.
But this time, literally, like, every country has been affected by this. It's so strange.
Yeah, it's sort of like, it's one of those things where you saw the first reports of it starting to spread, and then next thing you know, it's just like it's like a movie, and next thing you know, it's spread. It was widespread, like within a few weeks. Like
it's literally like you'd be watching like a movie on the Sci-Fi Channel and think, this is a terrible movie. This would never happen. This isn't real life. And then it is.
It's definitely changed the way, like, I mean, right now you're at home, I'm in the studio right now, and it's definitely changed the way we do things, because, and I think even going forward past, I know we're going to make it through this, but even going forward, it's going to change the way we talk to people, the way we greet people. It's going to change so many things.
Well, absolutely. And I mean, and the whole entertainment industry and what we love, all the geekdom stuff is gonna change. Like, how quickly are people gonna want to go back to the movie theater?
Yeah.
even when they're open, and are people going to try to book every other seat in the theater?
Yeah.
So you're not actually sitting beside somebody. I don't know. There's no way, this has never happened. So there's no way for anybody to know what the world's going to be like afterwards.
Yeah, I think what will happen is this is what I predict anyways for the first bit, is we'll be in the self-isolation, and then there'll be a time when we can get sort of out of that self-isolation, but then it's going to be like restricted sort of isolation where like movie theaters can only sell groups, and then they have to leave 2 seats in between the next person, like that kind of thing.
Yep.
Like restaurants will only be half capacity, like that kind of stuff for the time being till we know it's gone, or they have a vaccine or whatever that's needed for this. But I think going forward, people are going to be thinking about what they touch, how they do things in everyday life, just because of this.
Oh, it's true. I think you're absolutely right. Like, things are definitely going to change. Well, think about when 9/11 happened. Like, there are still restrictions at airports. Like, we still have to take off our shoes and take off our belts. And that's all because of 9/11.
Yeah.
Like, that was almost 20 years ago almost. And people are still reacting from that. So who knows? Like, this is a game changer.
No, it totally is. It's just such a different thing. And then when we were talking about doing the podcast, that's why we haven't been on in a few weeks, because we're like you were supposed to go away. Yeah. And then you didn't, and then we were like, okay, well, how do we do this? And it's like, well, I guess you can call in. I guess it's the best way to do it if we want to continue doing this. Like, it's just such a different atmosphere that none of us were really expecting.
No, everybody's like learning to do things in a different way. But on the plus side, it's giving people time to sort of like do the basic things that we never used to do before. You know what I mean? Like, go for walks with the family, or get out a board game and play like we played what was the game we played? Trouble.
Oh geez, yeah, you pull that out of the archives.
Yeah, like when was the last time you ever played those kinds of games?
Yeah, we played Nintendo and Monopoly about a week ago, and once again I lost. I've never won a game of Monopoly in my life. Like, I'm horrible at it, so I lost again. But it was fun to get the family together and kind of play. But you're definitely together because you're home all the time together, and it's like it's just an odd thing, but
it's really strange. Yeah, our new phrase of the day is, "What movie are we going to watch tonight?"
Yeah.
That happens every day at our house now.
Oh yeah, my kids are constantly like, it's like sharing the PS4 so they can play games with their friends. Like, so they're still interacting, but they're together, and it's just such a different world. I never thought this would happen. And of course, like you're saying, it affected Hollywood and entertainment and every aspect of it, really.
Yeah.
But there's like so many movies now that have been shifted into, like, I just read that Ghostbusters is now shifted, and like of course, like the Marvel ones have shifted. There's a bunch. Like, what are the other ones? I read a couple other ones today.
Well, I heard yesterday, I believe, that they're considering now the new Black Widow movie, releasing it directly to Disney Plus.
I've heard that too.
Yeah, not even going to theaters, which is, you know what? I mean, why wouldn't they? Like, who knows when the theaters are going to be able to open again? Why sit on a movie like that when they've got a platform to stream it and potentially get subscribers back? Because people would subscribe again and pay $8 a month to watch Marvel movies that are first run Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they do that? Everybody's home.
Yeah, Morbius is another one that's been delayed, but but yeah, I know it's weird because the problem is too, they've spent all this money on this and they're expecting the box office, and now there's no box office, so they want to recoup their money, so they have to hold these movies back now. Like, look at the Bond one. The Bond one was moved from April all the way to like November.
That's right.
So,
and I remember when that one was moved, and people were like, "What? Why would they do that? That doesn't make any sense. It's a movie. You're sitting in a movie theater. Why do they have to move it?" They were like way ahead of the curve. They knew what was coming.
They knew that it's like, well, there'll be nobody in a theater. There will be no theaters right at the moment to watch it. So it's just the whole thing is just really interesting to me, like how it's all sort of like just unfolded in front of us.
Yeah, but you know what's doing really well right now? The gaming world.
Yes.
Apparently gaming is up 75%.
That does not surprise me.
Yeah, because I mean, really, kids are home. They're doing their stuff, and they've just released the new Doom Eternal, like the new Doom game, and Animal Crossings, I guess, had a new release, and they're doing phenomenally well because everybody's downloading them. Like,
Yeah.
you know, so if you want to invest in anything right now, invest in the gaming industry because it's going to do really well.
And you can still buy that stuff. I mean, Best Buy is still open, I think, and because that's deemed an essential service in Ontario, at least where we are, and and of course Amazon and all that. We ordered a video game for Nelson the other day.
Yeah,
so I have no idea what it was called. It was like Shattered something or the.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I can't remember. It's the one with the Walking Dead. What's his face? Yeah, that one. He's been playing that. It looked really complicated, so I sort of backed out of the room slowly on it.
But it's true. But that's what people are doing nowadays. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts out there. So, so we decided today that we're going to do something a little different. Instead of doing our 5 news stories, which we probably could find 5 news stories, but we decided to, since we're in self-isolation, that we would pick our top 5 things we're watching right now.
Yes, this is the COVID Pop 5.
Yeah, so just things that we're watching and we're interested in, maybe you might want to check out as well, or you might be watching it. And of course, if you are, you can always get back to us and tell us what you think on Facebook and such. But let me just do the old Pop 5 intro. We'll use that.
All right.
What's hot? We'll tell you what's hot. It's the Loop and Larry Pop 5.
Oh, yeah.
Still fun.
Hey, did you notice at the top of the show I didn't play the Oscar opener this time? I remember.
Oh, hey, well done.
I know. Well, thank you. I had a lot of time to think about it at home by myself, what not to do, so I got that done. So that was good. So do you want to start us off on your first one?
Sure. Okay, so we each have this list. We didn't share with each other what our list is, so this is all new to both of us.
Right,
so,
and there might be some crossover on this list, so then that'll we can talk about at the same time. There you go.
Exactly.
Okay.
So my first one, and this is probably going to be the talk of the town right now, is Tiger King on Netflix. This I don't know. You just started it, didn't you?
I just watched the first episode last night.
Okay.
And I'm not very deep into it, but just the first episode alone is I can see why people are hooked on it.
Yeah. My family and I binged it over 2 days. We finished the whole thing in 2 days. It's 7 episodes. It's not very long. But this is it's another one of those true crime documentaries that Netflix does so well. And so I don't want to talk too much about the content because it's still new. So obviously there are lots of people who haven't watched it yet. But all I can tell you is that it gets, you think you've hit the peak of bizarre, and then the next episode it gets even more bizarre. This cast of characters that they've discovered is just like the most insane group of people ever, and it's awesome.
You couldn't get Saturday Night Live to write characters this weird.
No, and it's unfortunate that Saturday Night Live isn't on right now because I guarantee you that there would be a Tiger King sketch.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I just watched that first episode, and there's so many levels of intrigue in it, there's a possible murder, there's I don't know what's happened, or you know what I mean, but it's there's all these different things, and it's just so cool. It's so layered already, and I don't even know where it's going. So
no, and that's the thing, you don't know where it's going until the end of it. It's just insane. It's so cool. And the neat thing is that it just happened. All of this takes place within the last couple of years.
Yeah.
This isn't stuff that happened years ago. This is stuff that was going on. So I highly recommend it. It is a great way to spend 7 hours of your time. And once you start, you won't regret it because it's a good one.
It's one of those things where I kind of thought I knew what it was before I started watching it, and I started watching. I'm I have no clue what I'm watching right now because it is the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
And it changes multiple times.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, you'll be like, it's going this way now? What? No, it's going this way now. Oh, it's so well done. It's so well done. It's gonna be up for a lot of awards this year at the Emmys, if there are Emmys this year. I don't know.
That's awesome. Yeah, next to COVID, this is probably the next talked about thing, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we jumped on the bandwagon and we don't regret it.
That's awesome. All right.
What's your first one here?
Well, my first one is something I've talked about before, but I had actually finished the show, which is The Outsider. And I'm just going to start with that just because I've already talked about it.
Yep.
It did not disappoint.
Really?
I loved it. The whole show, start to finish, I loved it. It wasn't like too over the top. It wasn't like it was just brooding and like just I don't know how to say it. Just it's like a sizzling steak on the grill. You know what I mean? Like it's just like you're like, what's going on? Like it's a little bit of a puzzle, but and you know a little bit more than the characters know, but at the same time you don't really know enough. It's just such a cool show. I just wanted to just once again just say like if you haven't watched it, it's just such a cool vibe to this show. It's so good.
This is the Stephen King adaptation, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. That's on my list. I haven't started it yet, so it's on my list. It will get watched.
Yeah, it's definitely worth watching because when I had talked last time on the podcast, I think I was only into like about the third episode of it. Now I've finished it, and it's like I just got to recommend it one more time. If you haven't seen this show, it's so good.
How many episodes?
I believe there are 10.
Okay.
On that.
I can handle that.
Yeah, you start getting into it, and you're like, it could be 8 to 10. I can't remember how many, but once you start getting into it, you can't stop.
Awesome. This is good. Good. We need to add things to the list.
Yes, more things.
Yeah.
Those days get boring. You got to have more.
Exactly. So number 2 for me, we have been binge watching a reality show that is currently on Fox called Lego Masters.
I've seen bits and pieces of the show.
This is a fantastic reality show. It's hosted by Will Arnett.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, anything hosted by Will Arnett is going to be good. So you can't get past that. And it's literally a reality show about people who are like, well, they want to become a master Lego builder. And so they're so creative with their designs and their structures and their builds. It is really intriguing, and it's really inspiring to see what people can do with Lego.
Yeah.
And it's just so fun. Like Will Arnett is just hilarious. And then they occasionally bring guest hosts on. So they had Chris Miller and I can't remember the guy's name. The guys who directed the Lego movie.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, they had that. They came on, and Mayim Bialik for whatever reason came on. But it's so if you can find it, if you want a little reality and something totally different, Lego Masters is a great reality show.
That's awesome. I know about it more because I watch The Masked Singer, which is on just before it.
Right.
So it leads into it. Like The Masked Singer, I'm addicted to. By the way, I've loved that show.
Yeah.
But I've been watching it for a while. But anyways, Will Arnett was actually on The Masked Singer last week, and then he was kind of promoting that show while he was on. But I've seen bits and pieces of it. But it looked kind of cool.
Yep, it's great. It's really, really fun. Highly recommended.
Excellent. My next one is going to be a show that's been on for a long time, but I thought has really picked up in the last few episodes, which is Walking Dead.
Oh, really?
So Walking Dead, I kind of thought was dead.
Yeah.
And because Rick had left and whatever, it was just like it kind of looked like it was on its way down. But this season, I thought, to me, has been excellent. I thought this season has been one of its best seasons in a while.
Is this season 10? What is this? 10 or 20?
I believe 10, 20. 10? What is this, like season 26? No, it's. I believe it's in 10 right now. Okay. But it's this season's been like a lot of good twists. I thought it's just been the flow of it's been really good this season. It's just the writing's a little sharper. It's been really good. I've been quite enjoyed this show.
Interesting. Well, I wonder if this will prompt them to do another 10 or 20 seasons.
I don't know. Well, they have a spinoff coming out too. So
another one?
Yeah, this one's like based on like younger people in it.
Oh.
Like so I don't know. I think it's called One World or something like that. Our World. It might be Our World or One World.
Is Fear of the Walking Dead still on?
Yeah, that's still on as well.
Are you watching that?
I only watched the first season. It was too much Walking Dead.
Yeah, that's a lot of Walking Dead.
Yeah, so I'll stick just to the main one, but it's but anyways, this season's been like a lot of good twists in it, and it's been really good.
All right.
There you go.
I don't know if I'll jump back into that one. I bailed in season 2.
Oh God, you're way back.
That'd be a lot of catch up.
I'm so invested now. I'll have to watch it to the bitter end. Like,
of course, yeah. That's too much time invested.
Yes.
All right. So my number 3, I went back and did a little retro watching. I figured my son is now 16 years old. I thought it was time to introduce him to Caddyshack.
Oh God.
So we we as a family huddled around the TV and played Caddyshack. And now he finally understands some of the references I've been making for the last 16 years. You'll get nothing and like it. Yeah, it was very exciting for me to finally share one of my all-time favorite movies, the most quotable movie of all time, with my son, who actually enjoyed it quite a bit too.
It's funny when you watch a movie that you haven't seen in a long time, and you're like, you're not sure if your kids are going to like it or not.
Yep.
Like I remember watching Ace Ventura with the kids, which I think is hilarious, and they actually really enjoyed it. But I was like, oh my god, I hope they like this. I hope they like this. Because I'm like, because we liked it so much. But then there's always things that are really dated in them too, which you're like, oh god, that's kind of dated.
Well, and part of the nostalgia for movies like that, like Caddyshack, is like we were watching them when we were like, 13, 14 years old, and have been watching them since then.
Yeah.
So they just become funnier to us because we just keep repeating the lines and all that. So it's weird to think about somebody who has never seen it before and seeing it for the first time. Is it really that funny, or was it just funny because we were 13?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's like Porky's, right? Like I remember sneaking and watching that, and then I look back now, it's like it was pretty funny, but not quite as funny as I thought it was back then, right? Like,
but back then it was hilarious.
Yeah, oh yeah, it was the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Back then, the what was I going to say? What other like movies like that have you introduced, or what's your next one?
Well, we've got. I'm going through as many of the John Hughes movies as I can with my son. So we've done Breakfast Club. My wife really wants to bring out 16 Candles. I think that might be our next one.
Yeah, that's the one of his movies that I've watched probably the least.
Yeah,
I never connected with that one as much as some of the other ones.
Yeah, the one that I watched that one a fair bit. It was Pretty in Pink for me that I never.
Oh, that one, yeah, that one even be probably below that one.
Yeah, I never really got into that one for some reason. I think I've seen it, but
my favorite of his movies is still Weird Science. That's my favorite, and then probably Ferris Bueller after that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%. I'm still all about the Breakfast Club.
I love Breakfast Club too. Those three to me are like that's the pinnacle of his.
Yeah, that's the big one.
Then
of
Curly
course,
Sue.
What? That's the forgotten child.
I remember when she was on The Voice. Do you remember that? She won The Voice.
She did?
Like the girl that played Curly Sue. She came back and then she ended up winning The Voice.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, that was like a few years ago.
What? Now, what is she doing now?
She's more country music, so I think she's still like got a country career.
Really?
Yeah.
And is she going by Curly Sue? Because
no. She mentioned she was in that, but that was about as far as they went with it. So,
because that would be a good country artist name.
Yeah, Curly Sue.
Introducing Curly Sue.
So dumb.
Yeah. So we're going retro.
Love it.
This break. Yep. That's it. So what do you got?
Okay, so my next one is so you can. We talked about this the other day off podcast, but you can actually rent movies now like that were supposed to be in theaters that were kind of I guess like left in theaters when this all started. So I watched The Hunted the other day.
Oh right.
Yeah, so I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good movie. It was kind of funny. It was like a dark comedy, but it was much better than I thought it was. But there's a lot of surprises I found in it as well. Like I thought it was entertaining.
Okay, is it worth is it $19 to rent it?
I don't know. It just depends if you want something that's like other people haven't seen, I guess. I don't know what you would pay that much to go to the theater to see a movie. So I mean,
that's the thing with these, because a lot of The Invisible Man is now out for rent, and it's $19 as well.
Yeah,
and so there's question about that. Like, are people willing to pay $19 to watch it on their TV in their living room?
Yeah,
but like your point, when I mean, if you're going to go to the movie theater, it's going to cost, if you're going with like a family, it's going to cost way more than $19.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, it's nothing special, but it's kind of cool to watch a movie that's like supposed to be currently in theaters. There's something cool about that. So I don't know, but I thought if you're thinking about renting one of the three, I really enjoy. I thought The Hunted was actually quite enjoyable.
Good, because that was literally on my list to go see the week that everybody was told to stay home. I was planning to go to the theater to watch that.
Yeah, it's enjoyable. It's fast paced, and there's some pretty funny moments in it.
Awesome. Okay, then I'm putting that down there. I would also like to say, just to add to that, The Invisible Man, if you haven't seen it yet.
Oh, it's good?
And it's amazing. amazing. Yeah, it's highly worth it, and I think $19 is worth the cost. It's a great movie.
I tried to watch it, but I didn't see anything.
Oh, bada bing.
The jokes haven't gotten any better in isolation. Let me tell you.
That wasn't good.
No, I don't think so. Anyways, go on. What's your next?
Okay, so going back, sticking with the retro theme, sort of based on current theme. I've been doing some gaming too because I love video games. I've been a gamer since Atari 2600 came out, and one of my all-time favorite. Well, probably actually no. I'm going to clarify. My all-time favorite game in the world in my life in the history of games is Final Fantasy VII.
Right.
Yeah, for the PlayStation, the original PlayStation. And I played that thing at least twice all the way through, and it's like a 60 or 70 hour game. Like it's a big long game. Anyway, they are on April 10th releasing the Final Fantasy VII remake. So it's a full on 3D like CGI remake. It's beautiful. This thing is unbelievable.
Oh, wow.
But it's like a scene for scene remake of the original, but just it looks like cutting edge. It's amazing. And they released a free demo, a playable demo of it, and you can play it for it takes about an hour or so to play the demo through, and it's fantastic. Like I'm so excited about this thing. I pre-ordered it. I'm all good to go.
You're all set.
But I needed my Final Fantasy fix before that happened. So PlayStation, the PlayStation Store now offers Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy VIII, which is also a favorite of mine, for like $14, like nothing. So I downloaded both of them. So now I'm playing the original Final Fantasy VII, like unaltered version on my PS4, and it's bringing back so many memeries. And it's just
That's amazing.
I'm about 7 hours into it, and it's just it's just so great. I'm 22 years old again, and it's just fantastic.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So that's how I've decided to spend a lot of my time, or at least the first 7 hours anyway.
Yeah, my son Nelson and I went back and we started playing not the latest WWE game because there was a lot of glitches in it and stuff, so I didn't buy it. But the one before, the 2K19, and we discovered the Elimination Chamber match, which is like hilarious, where you're locked in cages and then you're released every like 2 minutes. And we've been having so much fun with that. Like we've just been making characters, and it's just been a lot of fun. Like sometimes it's just fun to play some games. I just can't. A lot of the POV games I can't play because I get too sick.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I don't. I just get really like sick watching them play them. So
like the motion sickness.
Yeah, I just get motion sickness. But
yeah, fair enough. Well, as long as there's something out there you can play.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
then you're good to go.
So
that's awesome.
My next one is a show. Is it a show? Let me just take a look. Yes, it is a show. It's a show that's on right now. It just started again, and it's a third season. It's Westworld.
Oh, okay. No, don't tell me too much because
I tell you, all I'm going to say is that I'm really enjoying it, but I have no clue what's going on. So that's all I'm going to say. It's very confusing. It's one of those things like. Did you see the second season? I'm halfway through the second season. So there's just a lot of things like timeline issues and things that are like going on that you're not sure what's reality, what's not reality, who's what's that. Like it's like there's a lot of that kind of going on. So there's a lot of like things in the background, and it's a bit confusing. I'll put it that way. But I'm sure it'll come together as the episodes go on. So is this the final season? I can't remember if I don't know if it is or not. I don't know if they've ever said this is the final season. Okay, so then it probably isn't because they would have announced that this is the final season. Okay, so it's gonna. Yeah, that's on my list too. I really want to get through season 2 so I can start season 3 because I really like that show, but it's one of those ones I haven't caught up to yet. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in season 2. I think we might have mentioned this in another podcast. There's a lot of stuff in season 2 I liked. But there's a lot of stuff that left me sort of hanging in season 2, which I didn't really like. So season 2 was a bit of a mess for me. But this season so far is like just the style of it. It reminds me a little bit like Blade Runner, like the style. Like that's what this is. And the music is sort of like that in this season. It's kind of cool. Cool. So. Oh, I'm okay. Then you now like prompted me to finish season 2 like right now. As soon as we finish the podcast, I'm going to barrel through the last like 5 episodes and then jump into this one. Yep. That's awesome.
All right. Well, my last on my list of my COVID Pop 5 things to do while you're waiting is I am currently still thinking about watching The Dark Crystal.
Wow. I like how you're like, I'm thinking about it. I'm not, I haven't committed, but I am still, it's in my back of my head that I need to finish this.
That's right. I've got a lot of time now to think about it. And maybe I'll pull the trigger at some point.
Even in self-isolation, you cannot bring yourself to watch The Dark Crystal.
I actually tried. I was flipping through Netflix. I'm like, oh, there it is. Oh, what's the thing beside it? I'm going to go over there. I don't know what it is about this show. I need to get through it.
Well, it's just one of those things from your childhood. Like I watched that movie so many times, and then you're like, you praised, of course, Dark Crystal, like the series before it had really come out. And then I watched it, and I'm like, I don't know, Lawrence, but I'll keep going at it. And then when I finished it, I said, what did you think of this? And you're like, oh, I haven't even finished it. I gave up. I'm like, what?
I'm still on episode 4. Yeah. Eventually I'll get there.
Someday.
If there was ever a time that I was going to be able to do this, it's now. So I better do it.
Just so you can say that you've seen it.
That's right. That's all I need to say. And then we can put this one to rest.
Yeah, then it'll be done. Dark Crystal will be finished.
Yep.
All right, my last show that I'm watching currently is it's a little weird. It's called Dispatches from Elsewhere.
Oh, how's that?
So it is really cool. I don't know. It's hard to describe. It's another show where I'm not sure where it's going.
Okay.
It's a little confusing in that way. It's got like lots of like Jason Segel. Jason Segel. He produced it and put it together. Sally Field's in it. Richard E. Grant's in it. And it's just a cool. It's like, so it's based on a documentary called The Institute, where this like artist or a group of artists put together this elaborate. I haven't seen this documentary yet. But I had to buy it off Amazon because now I got to watch it. Put together this like massive. It's almost like an escape room, like sort of, but outside. Like it's kind of like where there's all these clues, like almost like a scavenger hunt / like escape room.
Okay.
So there's clues, and you got to follow these clues, and they're really cryptic. And the whole show has a sort of a steampunk feel to it. Like the things they're finding in that are very steampunkish. But it's just this group of ordinary people that get brought together with, like, there's tons of other people to play this game, but they're all in groups of 4. So this group of 4 is what they're really focusing on. And so they're out trying to figure this out and unlock these secrets that this is going on. But it's very meta and very like, there's a lot of like subtext in it too as well. So it takes a bit to watch, like, but the first episode really hooks you in, and then it really starts to like focusing on all the different characters, right? So very cool. It's like I saw it was like on it, and I like Jason Segel, so I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna check this out. And it was like pleasantly surprised by it for sure. I just don't know where it's going again. Like it's one of those ones that's like I'm not sure how this is gonna go or where it's gonna end up. Yeah.
And now where is it? Like what channel is showing this?
It's on AMC.
Oh, okay.
So it's Monday nights after Better Call Saul.
So I wonder if it's on. So it's on demand.
It'll be on demand. Like I think there's only like 8 episodes or something. It's not an overly long series.
Oh, okay.
So
is it finished?
No, I think it's on episode 4 or 5 right now.
Okay. So I could catch up.
Yeah,
is what you're saying. Okay, so that gives me another thing to avoid Dark Crystal with.
Dark Crystal keeps moving down the list.
Yeah. I just remember seeing the trailers for it and thinking, this looks like something totally unique. This looks so cool.
Yeah, and I didn't realize it was like the basic idea is based off this documentary.
Yeah.
And then like the documentary looks interesting too. It's just all these people like that got like they have all these like, you know, those like when they put things on a like a light switch and it's like, call this number for this, like
okay.
So there'd be these weird like experiments and stuff with these numbers, like it's like, so people would just take them if they're really getting these like people that are a little out there to play this. So, and they got hooked on it. Like I haven't watched what the actual like documentary is about, but this is in San Francisco and this went on forever. Like
awesome.
Like it looks cool. Like so I don't know what's gonna happen in the show version, but it looks really good.
Okay, I'm hooked. You've hooked me.
All right, I'll try. That's all I can do.
So I think that's it. I think that's our pop pop 5 for this week, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is. Let's go to the pop capacitor.
Oh, hey, we'll go from one pop to another pop.
There we go.
All right.
Let's walk over here. I forgot. We're really far away, though.
Oh, yeah. I'm walking from quite a distance.
We're both in separate cars, too. Our cars are at least 6 feet apart.
Exactly. And I'm running like 6 feet behind you.
Yes, so we're always away from each other.
Yeah,
So we decided this week. I don't know what prompted this. I don't know why we got talking about this, but often we'll talk about different subject matter that maybe has to do with something that's going on in the world or whatever. But somehow we got into talking about Saturday morning cartoons, and then somehow we got talking about the Schoolhouse Rock.
Yes. Because we thought, Saturday morning cartoons, that'd be a fun thing to talk about. But hey, remember all those cartoons that happened in between the cartoons?
Those are what we want to talk about.
Those are even better than the cartoons.
So if you don't remember what Schoolhouse Rock is, let's take a quick listen.
It's Schoolhouse Rocky, the chip off the block of your favorite schoolhouse, Schoolhouse Rock.
I'm just a bill, yes, I'm only a bill, and I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill.
And 3 times 1. What is it? 3! Yeah, that's a magic number.
Conjunction, junction, what's your function?
Hooking up words and phrases and clauses.
Conjunction, junction, how's that function?
I got 3 favorite cards that get most of my job done.
Interjections,
Hey!
excitement,
Yeah!
emotion.
Ouch!
They're generally set apart from a sentence by an exclamation point or by a comma when the feeling's not as strong. Find it quite interesting. A noun's a person, place, or thing. A noun is a person, place, or thing.
Oh, yeah.
I could listen to those all day long. I love Schoolhouse Rock, like, with a passion.
It's so fun to go back. So tell us, like, what Schoolhouse Rock is, like, if people don't really know what that is.
Okay, so they came out. They were like 3-minute cartoon segments that were all education based. That came out starting in 1973, and they came out on ABC. It was an ABC exclusive, and the first one came out in like January of 1973, and they started with multiplication. They had multiplication ones. They had Schoolhouse Rock that dealt with grammar, and then they had science, and then they had season 3 was America. So those are all of the
American history.
Yeah, American history ones. Then season 4. There were 7 seasons of this. By the way, they went on technically until 2009.
Yeah, it's weird because I mean there was like a long time between the 2009 ones or whatever. Like there was like a big gap, but it was weird when I looked at it because I didn't realize they had done them in seasons. Like
I didn't either.
I thought they were just like randomly on, right? Because that's all you remember as a kid. Like they were just on in between cartoons and things, like these interstitial sort of like PSAs basically on educational things. But
that's right. But the interesting thing is the seasons were super short. So like season 1 was all multiplication. It was all multiplication. There were 11 episodes. It started on January 6th, and the season ended on March 31st. So it was 3 months long. So they were short. They were like Survivor seasons.
Yeah.
So they were short seasons, and then season 2 started up in September and went till December of the same year.
Yeah, it's just like, so these things were on like obviously between cartoons when we were kids, but they're so catchy, like these songs that taught you about whatever it was, like some of those ones like interjections or nouns or whatever it was that they stick in your head. And the cartoons, like I went through a bit of a rabbit hole rewatching a lot of these, and I'm like, if I didn't really know the song that well, I definitely remembered the cartoon portion of it. Yeah. Or I remembered both, or the cartoon or the song better than the cartoon portion. Like it just depended what it was.
And they were so well done. Like the songs were so catchy that I distinctly remember being at school, like in grade 3 and 4, and doing the counting by five, learning to count by fives.
Yeah.
And doing the counting by five episode was called Ready or Not, Here I Come, and it's about a hide and seek game. So the guy who's it has to count, so everybody else can run and hide, and he counts by fives, and he counts them like this: 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50.
That's how I still count in fives.
and that's how I did it in my head. I would do it exactly the way they did it on Schoolhouse Rock, and I learned to count by fives in like no time at all. Like, they were so effective.
Yeah, and it's funny how much of that stuff, like, I still remember, like, of course, one of the most famous ones is I'm Just a Bill, like, which was played in that package. And that one's been, like, spoofed by Family Guy. It's been spoofed by, like on the late night shows. Like, it's just one of those classics. Like, the song was so strong. And that was the thing with these. Like, the music was strong on all of them. And sometimes they'd start with music, and then they'd have someone talk for a bit to explain something, then they'd go back to music again. But they're just, like, the songs. Bob, is it Doro?
Yeah.
So I watched a bit on him, and he kind of brought the song to them after they'd asked him to write something for this, and he had done other stuff before that. And then he was like a jazz pianist, I think. And then he wrote this, and then they just started taking off. And I have to give credit to this other girl, Lynn Ahrens, I think is how you pronounce her last name. She wrote a ton of them as well, like and a lot of the more famous ones as well. So like interjections, that's the one she wrote. And but they're like, there'd be so much fun writing those things.
Oh, it was totally new. Like, nobody had ever done anything like this before. So this was all sort of like experimental. Like, we're teaching kids with cartoons in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And, like, what can you do? Like, but like they were like the masters of the hook, like the musical hook, because every one of them had became an earworm.
Yeah, it was.
You know what I mean? Like, conjunction junction. If you start singing conjunction junction, that's going to be stuck in your head all day.
Yep. I'm even looking through some of these ones too, like lolly, 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 get your adverbs here.
Yep.
Like all these, like they're so hilarious. There's some I've never heard, like I kind of vaguely remembered, but not 100%. Like The Tale of Mr. Morton. That one, I was like, I watched it, and it was around the same time all these other ones were on. I don't know if it just wasn't played as much.
I don't think it was. I think no, that one actually came out in 1993. It's a newer one.
Oh, okay, maybe that's why I'd never seen it. I'm like, I just didn't look familiar to me.
Yeah, no, there was in that season, that was the technique. So they're breaking, it's interesting because they break the seasons down by subject matter.
Yeah.
So Grammar Rock is technically season 2, and season 2 lasted from 1973 till 1993.
Oh, I see that. Yeah. So there was one in 76, and then the next one was 93.
Yeah.
That would be where the category is. Gotcha.
Yeah. So that one, so they just broke, so they're breaking them down. So they're not technically like when they actually aired the way normal seasons do.
Yeah.
They're more just about like a category. So that Tale of Mr. Morton, I remember it, but not from when I was young. Obviously I was like 22 years old or something like that at that point. But yeah, that's why. But it's still part of season 2.
All right, let's go through these, not episode by episode, but let's go through each section, and you tell me what your favorite of those sections are. So multiplication.
Okay, so the very first episode that came out ever was called 3 is a Magic Number.
Yeah.
And that is one of my all-time favorites because I'm an only child. So it was just my parents and me. So there were only 3 of us. And so I distinctly remember like thinking that was really cool because there's 3 people in my family and 3 is a magic number. And then I don't know if you remember this or not, but in the mid-90s, do you remember the alt rock band Blind Melon?
Yep.
They did a cover of this song, 3 is a Magic Number.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Shannon Hoon, who is the lead singer, had like such a distinctive voice, and they like nailed this cover. So then all of a sudden, mid-90s, this became like one of my favorite songs again because it was a band that I love. And they were singing this song that I remember from when I was a kid. So was
that on the Schoolhouse Rocks album?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that album.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. That would be my favorite of those ones too. That was just one that really stuck out for me.
Yep.
Of that grouping. What about Grammar Rock?
Moving down to Grammar Rock. Well, there are a couple on here. Interjections I love. I just think it's so fun.
I think that's my favorite of those ones. They're all good. There's 2 or 3 that are really good on this one, but that one's one of my favorites.
That one and the other one, I've got a bit of a tie on this one. So Interjections and Rufus Xavier Sarsaparilla.
Oh, that's a great one too. I forgot about
remember
that
that
one.
one?
Yeah.
I loved that one. Just the song is so good, and the fact that they came up with a character's name, Rufus Xavier Sarsaparilla, is just so fun. And then his sister's name was Raffaella Gabriella Sarsaparilla.
Oh, that's right. Holy cow.
You remember?
Yeah.
And the guy who narrates this story, his name is Albert Andreas Armadillo. They're just so fun. They're so fun to say.
It's funny how some of these, like I was saying before, you didn't see as many, like as much as some of them. Like some of them seemed like Conjunction Junction was on all the time.
Yes, all the time.
I don't know whether like whoever aired them was like they happen to like that one, so they just kept playing that one as like as one to stick in, like because we both worked in TV and sometimes you had to stick in things for time.
Yeah.
So they might have just kept grabbing that one because it was a fun one. Like I don't know.
It's quite possible because you're right. Like that was always on.
Yeah, that one was on more than I like Unpack Your Adjective too. That one was pretty fun.
The Grammar Rocks are real. That's a solid season.
Yeah, that was a good season. Okay, what about America Rock? I loved America Rock, actually. There's a lot of good ones on here. I learned more about America through this than I did probably anywhere else.
100%. Like I knew about like the No More Kings. Like I knew about the American Revolutionary War because of No More Kings.
Yeah, in the shot heard around the world.
Yeah, the Revolution. Like, I could actually for a while. I don't know if I could still do it, but I used to be able to recite the preamble of the American Constitution based on the Schoolhouse Rock thing called the preamble, and the lyrics of that one were literally the Constitution. They put the words of the Constitution to music. So I used to be able to recite the Constitution by memory.
Oh yeah, there's some great ones on here. But to me, I'm Just a Bill still like that's the classic of those ones.
Yep.
In the cartooning, it was very simplistic. Like there's a lot of white going on, and the Bill looked funny. Like it was just the whole thing as a whole was great.
Yeah, I'm going to when we're finished here, I'm going to post a photo on the Loop and Larry socials that supports your love of I'm Just a Bill.
Okay, perfect.
So I will try to remember I will do that as soon as we're finished.
We should put a couple of these up there too, like a couple of the on YouTube links on some of them as well.
Yeah.
Science Rock.
Oh, Science Rock. Okay, so this is season. What season was this? 4? Yeah, this is season 4. So these ones ran from 1978 to 79. Well, I think the one that everybody knows most is Interplanet Janet.
Yeah, that's my favorite of those ones.
Yeah, I really liked that one just because she's pretty cool. And I never really knew what she was because she's a girl.
Well, she's a galaxy girl.
She's also a rocket ship.
Well, she's a little bit of everything.
Yeah, this is kind of a crazy looking thing. But Interplanet Janet's really, really a good one. And then the other one that I really liked is Telegraph Line. Do you remember Telegraph Line?
Oh, yeah, I remember that one, yes.
With talking about the nervous system, like the human nervous system, about how like when you burn your finger, like how the signals get sent to your brain to tell your brain that you burnt your finger, so you need to move your hand away from the fire. I liked that one a lot. I thought that one was really, really kind of cool.
What about Money Rock?
What? Which one?
Money. I don't know any of these. These are beyond my time.
Yeah, this is season 6. So this was 94 to 96. I don't know if I even know any of these ones.
No, they're like very like they're much more recent. Walking on Wall Street is one.
Yeah, no. Yeah, this is $7.50 once a week.
I wonder if I'm not sure when. I think Disney bought all these at some point.
Did they?
I think they own them all.
You could be right.
I'm not sure when, but I'm pretty sure they bought them at some point.
Yeah, you could be right. We skipped a season. That was Money Rock is season 6. Computer Rock was season 5, and those ones went from 1982 to 84.
Oh yeah.
And there's only 4 episodes in there. I think that was when I was just out of it because I don't remember any of these ones either.
Yeah, I think they tried to make a comeback with them, and they just like by that time Saturday morning cartoons we weren't really watching them.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's the only reason we remember them, right? Because they're embedded into like all the cartoons we used to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I think it was after season 3 or season 4 with Science Rock, from 78 to 79. Those are the ones that I remember, and then after that I don't. And then season 7, the last season, was 2009.
Yeah.
And these ones were released direct to video, so we wouldn't know these ones because well, for a lot of reasons.
It's cool though that whole concept is like stood the test of time, right? Because like we were saying, they made that album, and a bunch of like rock bands redid the songs like from that era, and then plus two they made a comeback at one point. Like it's just so cool that it was such a phenomenon that people did. It was almost a quiet one, no? Like people did, and then it was like years later when people realized how much they loved all these songs.
Yeah, it's crazy, and it's still to this day. Like 1973. I mean, we're approaching 50 years almost.
Yeah.
Of these things, and they're still like they're not going anywhere. Like people still love them because they were so catchy. I mean, it's like any song, really. Like, I mean, people still listen to music from the 70s and love bands from the 70s. These are songs that were so catchy that you can't not listen to them. And now, like, we've grown up and we're playing them for our kids. So, like, I remember because I bought them on DVD when they came out because, of course, I had to have them.
Yes, of course.
And I remember him taking the DVD set to school.
Yeah.
And they played them in class. So, like, a new generation is playing them. They're unfortunately not getting them the way we did, like in between cartoons. They're getting them off of a DVD or off of YouTube or something.
And they're also not watching them like over and over again like we did.
Yeah. But and part of the fun, I think, for us was you never knew which one you were going to see.
Yeah.
So, you'd be watching the cartoons, and then you kind of got excited about the commercial breaks because something was going to appear, and you'd be like, oh, it's like 3 is the magic number. Cool. That's my favorite. And you never knew. And you'd only have like one day of the week to see them.
Yeah, basically. It's just like they only really played on the Saturdays, right? So
Yeah. So I think that was part of the fun of it, is that like it was just fun to be like, oh, that's my favorite. And you didn't get a choice. You got what you got.
I just saw that Disney does own them. So who knows, they could show up on Disney Plus at some point.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah, like so that would be kind of cool if you could watch them on there. So but yeah, of course Disney owns everything, so why wouldn't they own them? But at least they're being preserved somewhere, right? So
yeah.
But which is really cool. So, but yeah. Anyways, I still think they stand the test of time. I look back at them and I was like, yeah, these songs are still catchy.
Oh, 100%. They will. I think that they will outlive all of us. These things will be around for eternity.
Yeah, I think so too.
At least I hope so. Anyway,
it'd be great if they could play like or make even like newer ones or Canadian versions and play them on Treehouse or something, right? Like it'd be because that'd be the perfect like filler in between like shows and stuff. So
yeah, and that's actually an interesting point. Like I don't think they ever spun off. Like I don't. You know how some cartoons do like a Canadian version or a European version or whatever. I don't think. I could be wrong, but I don't think that Schoolhouse Rock ever went beyond the United States. Like
no.
Like no other country ever made any. I don't think. I mean, I'll look it up, but I don't
think so. I don't think it ever there was never like a Canadian like version for Parliament or anything.
No, I don't think so. But there should be.
There should be.
Every country in the world should have their own Schoolhouse Rocks.
I'm just NDP. That song never took off.
No, it didn't really.
Like we wanted it to, but. So ridiculous. So that's the end of the show. We'll end it right there.
Yep.
And then you're still at home. You're safe. Everybody's good.
I'm still at home, and trust me, I'm fully dressed and showered, even though I'm not out in
You got to shower every day because otherwise one day just rolls into the next.
Well, it's true. I even shaved today.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
In honor of the podcast.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for doing that. Oh, there's one thing I just want to tag on to the end here before we go. It's that with everything being moved and shifted, one of the events that we were supposed to be a part of and we were supposed to be guests, which we were honored to be guests at, was the Deep River Geek Fest, and it has now been canceled for this year. So we and hopefully we'll be part of it next year.
We're as of right now we're committed to being there next year, and we just want to give a shout out to Jay Crawford, who was one of the organizers of this event and has put a ton of work into it. And it's a shame when these things have to be canceled or moved because so much work goes into it, and everybody gets so excited. And we were definitely excited to be a part of it. But we know that all the planning that they did this year will just shift over one more year, and it'll be bigger and better. And our plan is to be there.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because it's like for the smaller cons, a lot of work is put into it and a lot of love put into it. So I want to give them a shout out and just say, Jay, you've done a great job, and it's no fault of anyone's, right? This is just the way the world is right now. So better be safe than sorry, and we'll definitely be back there next year if we're invited.
100%.
So that's the end of the show. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll do this again.
Yeah, everybody stay safe, stay home, and listen to the podcast.
Live from Larry's home.
Yeah.
It's Loop and Larry, Guardians of Geek. We'll see you next time.
Produced by Matthew C. Loop and Lawrence Simner. A Loop and Larry production.
Bueller.
He likes it. Hey, Mikey.
Bueller.
Bad news. Fog is getting thicker.
And Leon's getting larger.
Inconceivable.
Brian's right. It's an elf.
Wax on.
Does Barry Manilow know that you raid his wardrobe?
Oh, Captain, my Captain.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Wax off.